Hey there guys, and welcome back to Tea and Tyria. In today's Tea and Tyria, we are actually going to make a cup of tea. So yeah, I have been away for about a week and a half or so, and I'm going to put a kettle on right here, which is pre-boiled. But yeah, I've been away for about a week and a half, and usually when I'm away for that long, I'll usually say why I haven't been around. But in this circumstance, I haven't, and I shall not say, and I will continue to make videos, and yeah, but I have my reasons. So yeah, in today's TNT review, we're talking about the state of the game, the state of Guild Wars 2, since we now know the release date, and everyone's very excited, so I wanted to sort of state how I feel Guild Wars 2 is doing at the moment. Is it ready for release or not? I'm going to be talking about my guilds and the alliance, which is very, very exciting. And I'm going to be talking about the future of availability on my channel, what I'm planning to do, sort of machinima-wise, movie-wise, because I think that'll be something pretty awesome. So yeah, I'm going to show you how I make my cup of teas. So as you can see, we have, here we go. We have the kettle, the teaspoon, the cup, and the milk. So yeah, I don't know how the Europeans do it, but this is how I do it, man. So I never managed to play in the last stress test, which was very, very annoying. I never managed to play in the last beta weekend. I have basically not managed to play much of Guild Wars 2 at all, to be honest, which hasn't been good. I mean, imagine all these stress tests and betas and stuff you guys have been doing. Imagine just not being able to do them. That is pretty much the situation I'm in at the moment. And I'm not looking at how this camera's working out, but there you go. Get the milk. But yeah, so I haven't managed to play that much. I wanted to get better at PvP. That was sort of one of my goals, if you like. And I sort of had a little team going on. There's going to be me, Tube Elephant, Sang, the mysterious Sang, who you probably see a lot more. I mean, a lot of you probably, well, some of you probably know what I'm talking about when we say the mysterious Sang, like me, Tube Elephant, or my visual. But yeah, he's going to be popping up a lot more when the game's out and then be your weekends or what have you. It's sort of a, whoa! And that's how you don't make a cup of tea. So epic HD splash, but yeah, that's the actual cup of tea. So then we have to grab the tea towels here and clean up. There we go. Yeah, so great Guild Wars 2 content right here. Tea and Tyria, this is what it's all about for everybody who's sort of new to the channel. What we do, we make a cup of tea, we make a load of mess, and we talk Guild Wars 2. So yeah, if that all said, I'm going to hop in right into some World v World gameplay, provided by username will be presented on the screen, because I can't remember. How awesome am I? So yeah, see you guys in game. Lovely cup of tea, dripping like it should be. Adios. Alrighty, so welcome to episode 5 of Tea and Tyria, and as I said before, the main topic for today is going to be state of the game. August 28th is the release date of Guild Wars 2. We know that for a fact now. So yeah, I get very excited for that. And basically, I just want to talk about the state of the game, how I feel it's in. A good friend, Psycho Power Ranger, did a similar video to this, talking about the sort of state the PvP mostly is in, and how he sort of felt about the game in its current form. And he went over a few points about sort of builds and how fun the game's turning out to be based on ArenaNet's old promises from like months and months, even years ago, from when they were sort of giving out details, and how the state of the game has turned out to be now we're closer to release. So personally, I am happy with the game as it is. There's a lot of sort of kinks and a lot of niggles, if you like, that that a lot of people aren't too happy about. But personally, I find Guild Wars 2 to be the game I was looking for. Now, I am not really looking for a game which I am going to be playing 12 hours a day, 7 days a week on, and waking up ridiculous hours early in the morning to sort of hop onto the game. I'm not looking for that from Guild Wars 2. Very much so, I'm looking for an MMO which I can play casually at my leisure and have a lot of fun on, that's very, very interesting and has stuff for me to do. I want to go on to the game and have fun. I don't want to go on to the game and grind. I mean, in MMOs generally what happens is in your head you set yourself personal goals. So there is no sort of end to Guild Wars 2. End game is the quote end game, if you like, is a very loose term. There is no end game to an MMO. There's always going to be an expansion. There's always going to be content added. There's always going to be patch updates. There's always going to be some form of addition to the game added onto the end. I mean, WoW has been running for I don't know how many years. Let's say 7 years now. And of course, when the game first came out, everyone thought, oh, the end, there's an end game. But of course, 7 years later, there still is no end game. So that's how MMOs run. Now, the way you base your gameplay off an MMO is you give yourself personal goals. For example, I want to defeat this boss and I want to get this set of gear. Yeah, so once you've defeated that boss and once you've got that set of gear, you feel very, very accomplished, and now you can move on to the next set of goals, which is either to defeat a bigger, better boss and get some better gear, or maybe it's just to, for example, upgrade your rune slots, or make sure your guild is #1 in the server. There's loads of different personal goals you can set yourself to progress in the game, in the MMO. Now with Guild Wars 2, the point I'm trying to make is that Guild Wars 2, it comes across a little bit different. I'm looking not to have to grind. In WoW, it's very much like, I want this set of gear, so I'm going to have to farm this boss over and over and over again until I get the full set of gear. I'm going to have to get this currency in order to save up, and it's a grind fest, and it's not very fun. And the only sort of sensation of fun you get is from the moment when you actually finally defeat that boss, finally get a set of gear, and you feel so overwhelmed with accomplishment and joy that you can sort of go on to the next task, and you feel really, really up for it, and you're willing to put in that amount of hours and that amount of time again to get that same sort of rush of adrenaline, that rush of the same feeling of accomplishment. With Guild Wars 2, I find that I want it to be something that I could just hop onto the game and have fun doing. I mean, ArenaNet are sort of trying to make the game not a grind. They're trying to make it as fun and as enjoyable as possible. And this is something that I am really excited for personally, and something that I hope ArenaNet nail on the head. Like for example, with dynamic events and with the way the sort of leveling system works in general. If I jump into Guild Wars 2, I don't want to be going from quest to quest to quest to quest to quest, and this can still happen. I can still be thinking in my head that I'm just hopping from dynamic event to the sort of meta event to all these different types of things, but it can still be quite a big grind. And I'm hoping that the dynamic events are going to be versatile enough for me to feel that I am still sort of having fun and still enjoying the atmosphere around me without me in my head thinking that I'm just grinding to get whatever personal goal I have set myself. I hope you can sort of see where I'm coming from here. But at the moment, Guild Wars 2 is providing that for me. So that's what's making me happy. I can find that Guild Wars 2 is going to be one of those games where I can just hop in, have a lot of fun, and still achieve said goals with the same amount of accomplishment that I would feel from other MMOs where I would have to grind for the same feeling. Now, grinding is a very loose term as well, because for different people it means different things. Like for me, just doing, for example, 5 quests that are very similar in a row would be a grind. To other people, that would be 50 quests that are very similar in a row would be a grind. So it's very, very different for different people, but it's all about how much fun you're having. For me, on that 6th quest, I've stopped having fun. I'm thinking this is all the same, this is boring. For other people which are more dedicated, the 51 quest then it gets boring for them. Then it's just like, okay, I'm not feeling anything here. This is really, really boring. So how do Guild Wars 2 get around that? And I think dynamic events is the answer to that, because they change so much, because each of them are very different in their own right, because they sort of change the world around you and you have to interact with other players to get them accomplished. I feel that this adds that extra bit of element of fun, and the fact that other people helping you is an actual help to you and doesn't hinder your experience or doesn't hinder your reward that you get from it, and it's nothing to do with kill stealing. In other MMOs, it's very much to do with you have to level sort of by yourself or in a party, and anyone else who comes along is unwelcome because they will hinder your experience. So I think Guild Wars 2 has nailed this on the head, and I think the sort of questing and leveling in general is at the state where they can release the game. I think all it is now is just ironing out bugs in different quests, making sure that the dynamic events work well together, making sure that the world sort of scales on at the amount and at the rate they want it to. And once all this is sort of ironed out, then I think the questing system all the way to level 80 is going to be just fine and just as fun as everyone is expecting it to. So that's sort of the PvE elements to it. I don't really want to talk much about what type of dynamic events I've experienced so far, because they're very, very, I don't know, we've only been able to play a certain amount and we've only been able to play up to a certain level, so I don't really want to speculate too much on how the dynamic events are turning out, because I do feel that later on in the game, the dynamic events are going to get a lot better, if you like, in quotations, because they're very good at the moment. But what I mean by better is going to get a lot more diverse. There's going to be a lot more to them. They're going to be a lot harder, I suppose, in certain areas. For example, sort of like the general, because obviously the dragons in the game have different rankings. So for example, you can imagine a lieutenant dragon being quite a difficult dynamic event, and that's obviously a big boss fight as well, but they're the ones that everyone's looking forward to. But what I'm hoping is that the general just, you know, standard leveling up dynamic events later on around level 50, 60ish, I'm hoping they're going to be just as hard and just as interesting and take a lot longer to complete as well. So what I'm finding with the events so far is that they don't take long at all to complete, and this for me is providing a problem. Simply because I find that because dynamic events are supposed to be dynamic, they're supposed to, you know, you defeat one objective, you move on to the next one, you move on to the next one, and then there's a big finale or something along these lines. At the moment, I feel that they're taking way too quick to complete, and they're a little bit too easy. If you have a big enough group, all it is just running around spamming skills, and then boom, you've got a gold medal and you can move on to the next one. Now, it's still very fun, don't get me wrong, like, you can still see what's happening, you still, you know, are using your skills, you're still dodging around, you're still having fun. However, there's not that element of challenge, or there's not that element of longevity, I suppose, in the dynamic events to make them feel epic, to make them feel like, wow, that dynamic event was awesome. It's kind of at the moment just, oh hey look, another dynamic event, let's go do that. Finish that, oh hey, let's move on to the next skill point, the next waypoint, the next heart, whatever. It's very much, oh, let's just move on, rather than let's live in this moment and let's have an epic time in this dynamic event. So I'm hoping that will scale a lot better later on, and I'm hoping that the dynamic events will last longer and be a lot more fun and a lot more energetic and a lot more epic later on in the game. And so I suppose that just the next thing to go on with the state of the game is sort of the PvP aspect to it, the World v World and the structured PvP. Personally, I haven't been managed to play much of the World v World. I know I play in a Desolation server on the EU side, and our server just dominates World v World, like period. Like, every single time, because I go into the game, I might try out some PvP, I might do some PvE, a bit of leveling with the guys, and, you know, just try and, you know, communicate with different people, do some dynamic events, do different things, and then I think, hey, I'm going to go into World v World and try it out. Hop into World v World, and literally the whole map is taken by Desolation. We just dominated everything. Each of the beta events, that's exactly what happened. Maybe if I just logged on from the start, and straight away went into World v World, I might have had a better experience. But as it stands at the moment, I basically haven't played World v World. I've been in the area, I've looked around, I've had a nice visit, if you like, but I haven't actually experienced World v World for what it truly is. But from what I can see of it from videos and a video in the background, for example, it looks amazing. It looks just as they intended it to be, and I think a lot of people are going to be spending their time in World v World, and I think the fact that you can just level up a character in it from 1 to 80 just purely in World v World is amazing. New JLC provided us with this footage has clearly got, I can't really see the level at the moment, but you can clearly see that he is a very high level, just basically from a lot of it spent in World v World, as I assume from his videos. So that's a really awesome concept. I can't really go too much into how I feel the state of it is, simply because I personally hasn't played it, but from what I've heard and from what I've seen, it's going very, very well. I like the fact that the little mini objectives are working out just fine, sort of taking supply from villages, taking the little towers, you know, these objectives where it only takes sort of 5 to 10 people to complete, they seem to be working out well. We sort of see the blue team, I suppose, trying to take a little bit of a village at some point in this video, and it's just a little fight. It's only it's a fight between maybe 2 of the defenders and about 5 of the attackers, and then a couple of reinforcements come in later on. So that little tiny fight that's going on in the world is what ArenaNet were after. You know, it's not this big Zerg fest of just people running around doing, you know, what they want. So I'm glad these sort of mechanics are added into the game are going well. I've also seen different videos where the supply carts that travel across the map into different keeps and what have you to up the supply, where you have to sort of defend them. I've seen videos where you've got, you know, 5-6 people defending a supply cart and have just been ambushed from, you know, both sides, from, you know, the opposite team, and they've just taken the supply, and it's been epic. I've seen very, very awesome sieges with, you know, crazy amount of siege weapons firing at keeps from up on top of cliffs, really, really strategical placed siege equipment, you know, and it's something that I really, really want to get involved in, but I just can't because Desolation is just too good, I'm afraid. So if you have any experiences from World v World that you would like to share, definitely just leave a comment, or, you know, just share it with everyone, because personally I love to hear people's experience with World v World, as I haven't experienced it myself. And yeah, hopefully in the next BD weekends we get matched up against a couple of servers that are a lot better, and we actually have a bit of a fight to actually tackle the map rather than just dominating the whole thing. But structured PvP is one thing that I have had a lot of time experiencing, and the structured PvP at the moment is, I think, the main driving force behind the game. Now, a lot of people would sort of raise their eyebrow at me at this for saying this, but it's also what a lot of people have been saying. Structured PvP at the moment is kind of like the best aspect to Guild Wars 2 gameplay wise. A lot of people are bashing the PvE. A lot of people don't really see the pioneering revolutionary MMO that ArenaNet promised on the PvE side of things. But however, in the PvP, it seems a lot better than what we've experienced in other MMOs. It's a lot more engaging, it's a lot more fun, it's a lot more fast paced, and there's a lot more to do with it basically than you might think. One problem we've been having, which is Psycho Power Ranger, as I was saying at the start of the video, has been talking about, and you can go over to his channel and check him out and see that video, is a problem with the builds. Now, ArenaNet initially wanted traits and builds to be ridiculously customized, and basically your character will pretty much be the only one with your build, because that's how customized they were. That's what the goal they were having. For example, I suppose the easiest example I can make is the Elementalist. If you wanted to make a Lightning Elementalist, you could trait yourself and basically make your build on your utility skills and everything, so you can be an epic Lightning Elementalist. And then the guy next to you, who's also a Lightning Elementalist, is a completely different one. Maybe you've got daggers and a staff, and the other Lightning Elementalist has got, say, like a sword and, I don't know, something else, like a dagger and a sword or something. I don't really know the Elementalist weapons, but just use it as an example. And obviously their traits and their utilities are based around that, and you're very, very different, but yet you're spec the same into Lightning. And the next Elementalist might be an Earth Elementalist, which is basically just ridiculously tanky, you know? So it's so much versatility in the skills and the traits and in the classes, and that's what ArenaNet were going for. However, what they quickly realised is that PvP was a very, very big aspect, and balance is an extreme issue when it comes to PvP, especially on such a competitive scale, such as structured PvP, where you've got 8v8 and 5v5 in different tournaments, etc. Balance is an extreme issue, and they had to basically change the traits around quite a lot. I mean, it depends how long you've been following Guild Wars 2 for, but you would know for quite a long time they changed the trait system completely. It must have been about 2-3 times where they had an idea for the trait system and they completely just threw the idea out and changed the whole thing completely. And the current build that the trait system's in, it's good, but it's basically fallen back into the idea of just glass cannon builds, and basically the idea of just going onto a website, looking up a really good build and going along with it. You know, elements of this is the build for you. Necromancers, this is the build for you. Oh, you know, you've still got the whole, you want to be a lightning element to this? Use this build. You want to be a fire element to this? Use this build. What weapons are you using? Use this build. So there's a lot of versatility still there. However, it's not as fun. It's not as fun as it was initially made out to be, if you like. ArenaNet sort of fell down on the customization of personally your character. They basically maintain. I mean, if anyone's played WoW, you would know that basically you literally just go onto our website and copy the talent trees. You can do it yourself if you're skilled enough, I suppose, if you know enough about the game. But generally, you use the same talent trees as everyone else. If you're a warlock and you're a what do they call it in WoW? I can't really remember the actual one they're using at the moment. Affliction, that's the one. If you're an Affliction warlock, you use these talents and you use this rotation, and that's the way you're going to get your damage. And this is a big problem for WoW, and it always has been, because there's no point even having a talent system. You might as well just allow the warlocks to do that much damage anyway, because all it is just a nuisance to open up your talent tree and put in the talents, because every single Affliction warlock is going to be running the same talents. If it's PvP, PvE, you know, all of you got the same talents, and the same for destruction. It's the same for all the different classes as well. And ArenaNet were basically saying, we don't want Guild Wars 2 to be like this. We want Guild Wars 2 to have uniqueness to the trait system, to the talent system in quotations. We want you to be able to make your own builds and come up with your own customized character and play the way you want to play. But due to balance issues, and basically due to how hard it is to actually make that happen, the game's falling into this sort of traditional style where, you know, the build's just out there for you. The best builds are out there for you. If you run with your own, it's going to be very hard to do so, because you might fall down in damage, you might fall down compared to other people of the same class as you or profession as you. So this is sort of a problem at the moment. I mean, some of you may disagree with me. Some of you might be saying, well, I made my own build and it was amazing and I never even looked at the internet at all. No one told me this build at all. Which may be very true. And this is sort of the edge Guild Wars 2 has got at the moment, where even though it's not sort of specific builds you need, you can still come up with your own. However, you may have to take these runes, you may have to take this amulet, you may have to take this trait, or you may have to go 20 points into vitality if you're a necromancer, because that's what everyone expects of you in tournament settings. You know, it might fall into this, it might not, who knows, but that's sort of the state of structured PvP at the moment with builds. But other than that, I'm just looking forward to playing on more maps. I don't really mind about the game modes. I'm just looking forward to more maps. I love the idea of Chieftain Svanir on that one map where you have to kill them to get more points. And it's sort of, if you've ever played League of Legends, it's sort of like the Baron effect, where if you kill Baron, you get 300 gold as well as a buff. Well, on this, you kill Svanir or Chieftain and you get, you know, 45 points and a buff. One thing I don't like is it's way too, it's not really imbalanced, but the Svanir and Chieftain kills are way too important at the moment, I feel. Basically, if you get your Svanir or Chieftain stolen at the start of the game, it's GG. You know, like, it's so hard. Unless you steal one back, you basically can't win, especially if it's very, very competitive, balanced teams that you're fighting with. It's very, very hard to come back after losing a Chieftain or Svanir and not being able to steal one back. But it does add that extra bit of excitement to the game where you sort of have to steal one, you have to go and take it, and it's very, very competitive and it's very tactical as well. But I'm looking forward to the other game types, well, the other maps, I suppose, with different mechanics of it. As we know, Battle of Kylo has the trebuchet, which is very, very fun. So yeah, that's basically PvP. And I'm going to quickly go over my guild. For some of you know that I have a guild called Ectictus. Basically, we have been growing and growing over the past couple of beta weekends, and we have a very, very good community at the moment. And basically, Kai Dream, a few of you probably know her from her Guild Wars 2 videos. She has set up the DSA, which is the Desolation Server Alliance. And it's basically as many guilds as we possibly can come together in an alliance to make our server better. So we can organize sort of server-wide events. We can organize world v world battles a lot better. And basically, it's going to make our server's community come together a lot stronger, because all the guilds are sort of together in one alliance, all talking to each other and what have you. All the guild leaders will obviously get to know one another, and we'll all be able to integrate the community a lot better on our server. So if you are looking for a guild on Desolation, if you go over to, I'll probably put the link in the description, it's on Sonim Guild's forums, and you can see a list of the guilds, and if you join one of them guilds, then you'll be part of what is known as the DSA at the moment, and hopefully we'll be able to get more guilds in it in the future, and it will basically provide a lot of better gaming experience for you when you're playing the game. So yeah, that basically, if you're playing on Desolation, this is something you want to get involved in to be a lot more fun. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you head over to tyria.com, I might have a sort of article up on a machinima idea that I'm having, and it's basically a mini Guild Wars 2 movie that I'll probably be putting up on my channel in the future, depending on the tools we're able to use in Guild Wars 2 and what have you. But that's something that I was going to talk about, but we're sort of running out of time. I don't want this to go on for ridiculously amount. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I hope that this Tyria went down well. I know I've got a lot of new subscribers, and I'd like to thank you all. I have recently hit 1,000 subscribers. I don't know whether to do a video for it, a special type of video or what have you. I don't really know what the best things to do in these situations are, but yeah, I might do a 1,000 subscriber celebration video. But thank you all for subscribing, and yeah, for all of your support. And I will see you all next time.